Hello, and welcome to the God Theory Podcast. This is episode 19, and the title of this one is Catholic Sins and Women Badassery. David and I are both bringing something to talk about to the table. I don't really know a whole lot about what he's talking about. He doesn't know what I'm talking about, so this should be fun.
It's going to be spontaneous.
Yes. Sorry we missed a week last week. We were in person. We have our summer kind of gaming extravaganza. That's the in person. I know sign language. Yeah, you just cram your hands together.
And you say kiss, like you're pushing their heads together. Yeah,
like you're trying to communicate that you're choking on a waffle. That's what it looks like. Well, waffle. I should have picked something hard. That doesn't make any sense. You swallow a waffle is what you do. Anyway, we were in person. We were having our summer gaming extravaganza, which we talked about on another podcast. Super fun. Oh, David, that was so fun.
It was. I'm still very excited for it.
Yeah, it was a good time. Yeah, but how you been, man? How was your week? You're still out of school, right?
Yep, still out of school. Got a family over. They're off running around, so I thought we'd take advantage of that for some podcasting.
Awesome.
But, I'm actually going to go see the Book of Mormon musical on Tuesday.
Sweet.
So I'm seeing it in Salt Lake City, right in the backyard of Mormon HQ.
Hasadega Ibawai.
Hasadega Ibawai. That means fuck you, God, and not a real language, but it's hilarious.
I guess it means.
Well, Hasadega means oh, fuck you, and Ibawai means good. So I guess it means.
I love that, I guess.
Like, it would roughly translate. No, it's a pretty exact translation.
Oh, man. Well, that's cool, man. How much are the tickets?
Like $100.
Wow.
Which is pretty decent for Broadway. I mean, you go to a theater, it's a lot more expensive than a show.
Yeah. I remember I saw the Scarlet Pimpernel at the Wang Theater. Man, that was gorgeous. The pillars were like these angels holding up the floor above them. Beautiful. It was nice. By this millionaire or billionaire, who he was in how Apple computers started. I don't know if you've heard of Apple. It's kind of a thing in some part of the country.
Video editing box of some kind. I've heard of them.
Yeah, I think that's it. Like iPods, I think is what their whole thing was. Anyway,
I think it's iPod.
Oh, okay. See, I don't even know. No one's ever heard of them. But anyway, and Microsoft as well. When they started, there was this other one called, and I don't remember the exact history of this guy, but basically he was one of these flash in the pan guys. But now, it went nowhere. I guess it tanked, and the other two did fine. But he had billions of dollars, and so he decided to just make a theater. And so the thing he did was he just put just went all out. He went crazy. And we went there and people were in tuxes and stuff. But I think our tickets were like 180 or something.
Oh my.
So I don't know how much of that was you just paying for the venue or how much of that was you're paying for an amazing play because that play was sweet. Yeah, the seats. But that's cool.
Well, speaking of fuck you, God. I thought I would start in with another semi-regular segment called Christians Say the Darndest Things on my Facebook.
And we've all had this experience then.
Yeah, any of you who have Christians on your Facebook, and seeing as how they're the majority of the country, it's probably most of you. We're about a month into gay marriage being legal, and they are still just losing their shit all over my newsfeed. It's pretty fun. So I thought I'd read one of my favorite ones. This is from anonymous Christian person on my Facebook, and he says, "Get ready for let's do a drinking game. Anyone listening at home, whenever you hear hyperbole or any fallacies, take a shot."
Oh, and also call the ambulance now because you will have
have them on call, have them on speed dial.
That's happening.
All right, here we go. The farce of our democracy has now been revealed in such a way that no man or woman, girl or boy will escape the ramifications of what a mere 5 people have done in America. As the wildfire of gender neutrality spreads, I no longer even have the ability to call my daughter a girl without risking being charged with hate crimes, etc. Those who uphold the homosexual lifestyle as being no different than heterosexual need to do nothing more than label a Christian as an extremist who should be condemned. Believing that removing the sanctity of marriage from the USA won't condemn countless Americans because of our First Amendment religious freedom is too much for me to consider. For those whose idol has been democracy while claiming Christ as Savior, I challenge you to try having any type of civil discourse among those who believe people of faith in America are wrong, to believe same-sex marriage should not be. God is not mocked, though. not in the USA, comma, nor in any other country.
I love the afterthought because
Yeah.
they probably like wrote it and they're like, yeah, they're just masturbating to it because it's so awesome, like it's so good. And at the end, they're like, wait,
They're like, wait, what about other countries though? Is he mocked there? No, not there either.
I love how it's the one thing they determine if it's like bullshit. They're like, wait, is that bullshit? That would be bullshit.
Let me throw in some more. He is our capital C creator, comma, both male and female, and he reveals himself to anyone who will call upon his name. By the way, just so you know, those of you who are listening and not reading this, he's doing that bullshit thing where you capitalize pronouns like he and his, like possessive pronouns, masculine pronouns. It's God, so he gets a capital H on all those. Just because. Grammar, fuck you. God's greater than grammar. Last sentence, if my friends, or he reveals himself to anyone who will call upon his name. If my views cause you to unfriend me, comma, I ask that you send a private message telling me so. And that right there is my favorite line because he's like, fuck you. If you don't agree with me, this God will not be mocked. If you unfriend me though, please tell me. I need to know. You owe me that. You owe me that bit of explanation.
Yeah. Here, give me this very public microphone. But if you have anything to say, you can pull me aside later and just like tell me.
Yeah.
If we're not going to be cool after this, because I want to be cool.
Like, I don't unfriend people like that because they provide me hilarity for these segments. But yeah. Also, the winning comment on that is slippery slope indeed. This will be when churches stop performing marriages altogether, which will be a sad day for religious freedom. I also suppose that will be the day that the effect of legalizing gay marriage will begin to impact mine and my family's life. Pretty sure that guy is being sarcastic, but I don't think the guy noticed it because he gave it a thumbs up.
I love that.
It's that reverse pose law where Christians are like, yeah, exactly. And you're like, no, I'm making fun of your viewpoints by agreeing with you.
Wow. Whenever extremism is like so common that everyone's just like, yeah, man. Yeah, I surround myself with extremists. So to me, that's a totally normal statement.
Finally, somebody who gets it.
Yeah, God, thank you.
When the churches all choose to stop performing marriages, that is an assault on their religious freedom because First Amendment.
That's happening. It's like, man, fucking Huckabee. Did you see that shit about him recently?
Recently or just every single day?
Yeah, that. I just, man, you know what? Like, here's what's crazy. This just goes to show like how much we need a no spin zone like Bill O'Reilly.
Oh yeah.
He's so fair and balanced. He says so. Why would he say so if it's not true, dude?
You can't. There's no spinning in that zone. It's like the one
zone. That's what sets it apart from other zones.
Exactly.
Oh, exactly. So, anyway, the link. I forgot.
It's like my one rule.
Hey, I hope you're not spinning here. Has he ever stopped that? Anyone but someone on the other side? Like anyone on his own side?
Wait, well, that sounds a bit like spin, mister. And if you will refer to the title of this segment, we're in the no spin zone.
I love that. Yeah, fair and balanced.
There is a segment called that.
You know, that's what I always say. Like, anytime someone's like, "Hey, I'm not racist," or they're like, "Hey, this is gonna be funny," and then they say it, I'm like, if you have to say it, then I don't believe you. Like, normally, if I've got a really hilarious joke, like if I've got something coming, like someone's setting something up, or like you and I sometimes help each other set up jokes. I'm not like, David, this is gonna be funny, and then I say it. I just say it because it's funny, and I know you're gonna know it's funny when I say it.
Right. It's like looking around the room to make sure there's not a black person in the audience before saying your joke. Like, it might be racist.
Yeah. Or nobody's ever said this. Hey, listen, I'm not racist, but I think black people are being profiled by the police. Like, no one said that, right? Because you don't need to say it before that. Of course it's not racist.
Black lives matter.
Yeah. Exactly. No one says that. They say it before they're about to be super racist. But anyway, dude, so that's some weird shit on your Facebook page. I haven't had as much activity recently. I think people have been like blocking me or something, which is weird because there's been some like police brutality stuff that I've been commenting about. It usually riles people up.
Did you see that that police officer who pulled like the lady? He pulled her over and he just sat with her and like cried with her for a while because she just got news that her sister died, and he just like held her hand and stroked her hair and like got her off the road and then like sent her on her way. Like he just stayed with her for like an hour. I was like, it was a black woman and a white police officer, and I was like, you could have nearly died. That was very dangerous, but it turned out awesomely. Like it was a weird, like, I don't know, with all the shooting people in the face for no reason stories that have been coming up. It was nice to see like a random police officer who's serving and protecting.
Yeah, it's akin to that when that black lady jumped in and saved that white guy from KKK members or something. Or how was that? Did you see that? It happened like a year ago or something. But like, hey, I might be getting the races mixed up. This is a while back, and so this isn't fair and balanced reporting, people. This is me trying to recall something.
What kind of spin are we getting?
So all kinds. So, somebody out there knows what I'm talking about. So you tell the rest of the listeners. But anyway, it's something like that where someone jumps in and you're like, whoa, that person did not have to do that. But alternatively, did you see the story that's, I guess it's old now. I didn't know that, but it's this this cop who pulls over this guy, and it's like, hey, here's the title of it. It said, if you're squeamish about violence against humans, then don't watch it 155, right?
Yes. Yeah. That's terrible.
Yeah, I know. They pull over this guy, and I was like, what could be going wrong? Because everything, it's like the perfect. This police officer is nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's an African American in there, and he's got like dreads and stuff, and like he looks like.
But it's like a super polite exchange, like.
Yeah, and he's super nice. Like everything's going. I was like, what could possibly? Why is this going viral? And I'm watching it, and he's like, hey man, and literally this is the cop with the body cam. He goes, hey man, hey, what's up? You got any idea why I pulled you over? And he's like, no man, not at all. And I was like, this is going well, because normally you could tell it's some asshole who's like, open your window, and right. Like, this isn't gonna end well. And the other person's like, please stop, I just want to be black and also be a citizen, and then he gets shot.
Right.
But this one was going great, and then he's like, and he even goes, hey, what's that on the floor? And he goes, oh, it's a bottle of gin. And then he goes, and right then I was like, oh, here's where it goes wrong, because by now it's like 45 seconds into the video. And I was like, here comes the escalation. He picks it up, and he goes, oh, I guess it's closed. No big deal. He sits on top of the car. I was like, whoa, like I start wondering if it's a troll thing, and then it keeps going, and he's like, I pulled you over because the front of your vehicle, you don't have tags, and then the guy goes, oh, I didn't even know that was necessary in this state. He goes, yeah, most people don't, but it is. And I was like, this is great. This is awesome. Like, and they keep going, like, and no escalation. And he's like, well. He goes, that's fine. Can I see your license, please? And he goes, yeah, man, I got it right in here. I got my tags in here, too. Do you want me to put them on the front? He goes, there's no need. He goes, don't you live it somewhere in the area? Because they're in a back road. Clearly, like, a street with a bunch of houses. That doesn't go anywhere but houses. And he's like, yeah, I live right up there. And he goes, yeah, it's fine. Just do it when you get home. And I'm like, this is fantastic. What could possibly go wrong? It's like a minute 15 now. And 155, there's a fatal shooting. And so I'm like, what the hell? And then all of a sudden he goes, yeah, it's fine. Just do it when you get home. And do you have your license on you? And he goes, yeah. He starts digging through, and I'm like, oh, he's digging for something. This could be it, because cops are a little jumpy. No, he digs, and then he goes, you know what? I don't have it in my glove box. And he goes, I don't have it with me. And he goes, and then the cop goes, oh, you don't? Well, you need your ID when you drive. And he goes, yeah, maybe I do have it. And he's digging through his pockets. He's going to go, oh, I'm thinking, oh, here goes. He's going to pull out something. He's going to think it's a gun. He's going to shoot him.
Right.
And no, he doesn't. And eventually he goes, okay, well, let me tell you what. Let me just, until we get this, the ID resolved, he reaches for the handle and grabs it. And the other guy goes, no, I'm just going to drive home. And he reshuts the door. The cop, that was it. He goes, hey. And unfortunately, this was the mistake. Not a fatal mistake. But it was a fatal mistake, but it should have been. The guy turns on his car and tries to drive because he's thinking to himself, I know he's thinking, he doesn't want to go to jail for, just not having his ID whenever he just went to the store and back. And so he starts, assumedly, you can't tell from the video, but that he starts driving, but whatever it is, he does that, and the police just pulls out a gun, shoots him right in the face. This was at 1:50, 1 minute and 50, everything was going fine. Like he's like, hey, let me, until we get that resolved, and he grabbed that's it. You grab the handle. No lethal action. The guy was fired, and he's charged with murder, thank goodness. But the cops try to keep it down. And what's worse is, right after that, he walks in, and it's still being filmed as, he shot him once, right in the head, instantly died, unfortunately. The car coasts into a tree and hits it. Cop runs up there, still with a gun out, and then he's like, oh man, I shot him right in the face, he's dead. Those are his exact words. I'm not being facetious. And then he starts telling everyone, yeah, he tried to run over me. And here's the creepy part. The two other police officers that were not there, they were not there. They showed up on the video. You see them show up. Yeah. And they say, yeah, we saw that. We saw that. Yeah. Dude, why would they possibly say that? What is the purpose? It's the paperwork, right? And it's the brotherhood cover each other's asses. We did that in the military, like, to save each other's over whatever bullshit that we may be talking about. But basically just say, I got your back, man. I saw that. Let them know, hey, put me down as a witness. I got that. And they all said it, and it didn't happen. And so anyway, and what's worse is the police tried to like cover this up, and the public was like, hey, release this to the public. And they're like, no. And then the lawyers were like, release it to the public. And they're like, no, because no one had seen this body cam at this point. And then the judge was like, release it to the public. And they go, no. And finally it went viral. Somebody got it and leaked it. And then they're like, oh, and they released it. And they're like, yeah, we're going to fire him. And I was like, oh, come on. Like,
yeah, he's totally fired.
Yeah, we fired. It's bad. We fired him. And anyway, it's just more of this bullshit. But
well,
crazy that something can flip that quickly. And
I know. That's why it's becoming very dangerous to have police interactions if you have too much melatonin in your skin.
Yeah. Did you see those two videos of the guys carrying assault rifles down the street? A white guy and a black guy. The white guy, oh my god, hilarious! Hilarious because it's so bad. This is like the that feminist or anti-feminist article we read. Hilarious because it's a shitstorm. You've never seen anything this bad. It's like watching what's that? It's been a while. This is like 10 years ago. Who's that guy that was a flash in the pan for a minute, and he did the stupid dance? I hated that show. What was that? Remember the llama in it? No. Oh wow, no. It had the llama in it, and it was
the llama.
Yeah, it had a fucking llama in it.
Was it a movie?
Yeah, it was a
Emperor's
movie.
New Groove.
That's it. No. Anyway, whatever.
Oh,
it was
Napoleon Dynamite.
Yeah. I hated that show. Hated it. But anyway, a lot of people thought it was funny, so it was probably funny. I was probably just wrong, but it looked like that dance off there. That's what I was thinking. Or it reminds me of that. Yeah, but wait, what? What reminded me of the dance? I forgot where I was going with that. Anyway, I got totally distracted because I started thinking about this video or the show.
The two guys walking with the assault rifles.
Yeah, dude. The black guy, like these. Nobody even interacts. This SUV just pulls in, and these cops leap out. And keep in mind, this is totally legal to walk down the street with an assault rifle. It's perfectly fine. It's on his back. He's not holding it. It's just walking with it. And they leap out and they're like, "Get out of the ground!" And he's like, "I'm just legally carrying a weapon." And this guy's lucky he wasn't shot. Like, this was filmed before all these race riots or these videos coming out.
Yeah.
But and they're like, "Get out now! I won't tell you again." He's like, I'm just saying, I'm legally carrying a rifle. I'm not gonna fire it. He gets all the way down the ground. The white guy, they walk up and he's like, "Hey man, what's going on?" And he's like, I just, I'm just exercising my right to carry a rifle. And he goes, okay, well, that's fine. Just some people are getting weird about it or getting phone calls. He rolls his eyes, hilarious. But go watch those videos if you haven't seen them.
Yes, very double standard.
Yeah.
So my story that I wanted to talk about comes along out of the Fuck the Pope file. This is more of a Fuck the Catholic Church thing in general. But, like if you're the CEO and your company's being shitty, that's kind of on you a little bit.
Sure.
If you've got the magic hat, like with the magic hat comes magic responsibilities. That's what you know when you put the hat on.
Yeah, every morning.
The mantle of St. Peter, called the magic hat. So, the World Health Organization. Are you familiar with them? Who? Oh yeah, they're a big deal. Yeah, we could have gone to an Abbott and Costello skit there. I'm glad we didn't. Yeah. We're above all that humor. Who is, they are working with the government of Kenya to provide vaccinations against polio to inoculate the nation's children. That's a good thing, right? No more polio in Kenya. Feel like that's what we want. However, there's a problem. The Catholic Church is urging the citizens to boycott the vaccine. Roman Catholic bishops in Kenya have urged citizens to boycott a mass polio vaccination campaign unless the safety of the vaccine has been confirmed through scientific tests. The oral vaccination campaign by the World Health Organization and UNICEF is scheduled to begin on August 1st. Okay, what's wrong with that little tidbit? What do you mean? That's crazy. What do they have against it? Well, they want it to be the safety of the vaccine to be confirmed through scientific tests. And if we know one thing, it's that the Catholic Church is really good at scientific tests when it comes to medicine. Wait, what does the Catholic Church have anything to do with this? This isn't about Jesus. What's the deal? How could you insert yourself? That's like, hey, today we learned that the Gynecological Association is against video games. You're like, I don't give a fuck. Yeah. They don't know anything about it. Well, and it's the World Health Organization. Like, scientifically testing vaccines and medicine is kind of their job. Like that's how they started. That's their thing. You may have heard. It's the H part of their name. I don't know if you ever heard of this. The ICD, the International Classification of Diagnoses or Diseases.
Oh, ICD. It's a collection of. It would be like if our like medical manuals got stuck together with the DSM. It's like this Bible that the world uses. We're the only one who doesn't use this. Well, some of our doctors do, but typically we don't. But they're in charge. The WHO are the people who put these out, and I personally know researchers that work for WHO that do the mental health portion of things, and that's the whole point. It's like the national science.
So imagine that you're a scientist, right? Like you're working for Kenya's health, system. You're a scientist. You've gone to medical school.
Yeah.
And this guy with he's wearing a dress and a funny hat, and he walks up and says, "Hey, I see you've got a vaccine. It's been approved by all the relevant experts, and this is your job, is to increase the quality of life and all that. But our group of religious pedophiles in funny costumes, we think that you should probably delay the vaccine that's going to help your citizens and defer to us on whether or not that's going to help them." Sound good?
Yeah, I wouldn't care because until I found out that they had power, I'd be like, oh, that's great, it's cool. So, and then continue saving lives. But I can't believe they have any sort of microphone. Remember that term that you found that we use all the time on the other podcast, ultra-crepidarian?
Yes, this is exactly
this funny little vocab word we found, or David found, that basically describes, because on the other podcast, we talk about gaming stuff, and I'm an expert in gaming stuff, and this physician, it says Dr. Manny whatever.
Yeah, Dr. Manny
Alvarez was his name.
Yeah, Alvarez.
Dr. Manny Alvarez talked out today against, this is on Fox News, so it's good. And it says talked out today against violent video games and how much they harm your children. And I was like, but they demonstrably don't. They don't harm your children. Their early research is shit, and everyone knows that pretty much now. And so I was like, what? Who's this guy? Who's this researcher? Look it up. He's a gynecologist. And I was like, what? I don't, it's not like you're any less of a doctor for, performing, C-sections or delivering babies or,
right.
for women's health. It's just
doctors specialize in things, and
yeah, you can be a dentist. You can be a dentist. Yeah, it doesn't matter. You have nothing to do with.
Unless we're talking about
course on
vaginas and women's reproductive health. I don't really want to know his opinion.
They brought him on as a talking head, and I'm like, the fuck? I don't give a fuck about this guy.
Psychology.
Yeah, they never said it, but they imply it because they're like, well,
right.
Dr. Alvarez has something to say differently. Well, anyway, so David looks up this term, tries to find the word that perfectly encapsulates that, and that's this, ultra-crepidarian. That's the Pope, dude. Get your fingers out of this pie, bro.
So Dr. Miraguri, he's a director of Kenya's medical services. He released a statement, because you have to release statements now when people in dresses try and tell you about medicine. And, this is no offense to the cross-dressing community, but I don't go to people who aren't doctors for their medicine. And he says, any attempts aimed at mobilizing the public against taking their children for vaccination is a serious violation of the right of children to health and survival. The Ministry of Health once again reassures the public of the safety of all vaccines used in Kenya. I therefore appeal to all stakeholders, especially the leadership of the Catholic Church, to start supporting the immunization campaign in Kenya. Kind of call them out specifically. But don't worry, Bishop Philippe Agnolo has a counterpoint. He says in response to that, we're not in conflict with the Ministry of Health, but we have an apostolic and moral duty to ensure Kenyans are getting safe vaccines.
No, you don't.
Yeah, you don't. That's actually the Kenyan government and the World Health Organization's duty. Your duty is to stop your altar boys from getting raped. That's you focus on that right now.
Yeah.
And we'll do our job, and you just focus on doing yours right.
The fuck, dude, that would be like going up to an Olympian runner, and they go up to him and they're like, hey, we have some issues with the fact that you're carb loading before races. There's some ideas that we have that maybe fat burning is the cleaner way, so you need to tell your nutritionist. I'm sure the nutritionist would be like, great, thanks for stopping in, bye. I don't think they should have to issue a statement and be like, here's all the reasons we carb load. That is not your, and they're like, well, we've got a moral imperative to make sure that runners of all faiths, are getting the right nutrition. You don't.
And I got this story off of JT's blog, and he brought up a really good point in his article. He says, basically, the Catholic Church just recently launched a huge campaign to AIDS-riddled South Africa to convince people that condoms actually increase the spread of AIDS. So maybe you should not assert that you know better about diseases than the World Health Organization. Maybe you actually are really bad at health.
They're even called the World Health Organization. You
Recently
organized
told people to stop using condoms because they spread AIDS.
organized the entire world's best health professionals. Like, I don't know how you get around that.
Yeah,
Like,
right? Like, if I want advice on how to get away with child rape, I'll call a priest, but I'm not going to take their advice on vaccinations. Might as well look at mommy blogs for that.
yeah, yeah. What the fuck, man? I don't get it. This is like whenever I talk about police brutality, there's this I get a lot of kickback, and it's from the predictable crowd. Like, who do you think is standing up for these pieces of shit that shoot citizens just
People
because of
who
their color?
know police officers, or who are them, or who have been in the military and feel a sense of fraternity with them.
That's not necessarily true, because I've been in the military. Tim's been in the military. I have a lot of military friends that speak out against this.
Not necessarily true, but there tends to be a fraternity there. That's why you show your military ID when you pull over.
Yep. Yeah. Well, and plus they fetishize that shit. Like, if you're a police officer, they consider themselves like soldiers in their own lands. I mean, you've heard them talk about that. They're like, our job is dangerous. I'm like, your fucking job is not dangerous. Bullshit. You know, there's been studies on that. 99% of cops in the NYPD, one of the most dangerous places and what's most action-oriented departments, have never pulled their service pistol once in defense or in the line of duty. Not once. And then they make it sound like every day on these mean streets, bro, I'm getting in, gunfights. No, you're fucking not. And what does it matter? What do I care if that's important? Like me, I got shot at. And we kept our rifles locked and loaded and off safety at all times outside of the wire. Well, I mean, unless you're in an armored vehicle where it's going to ricochet everywhere. But the point is that we were in real fucking danger. And even then, I wouldn't over fetishize how often I'm firing my weapon. It's not like every time I leave the wire, I'm just like emptying clips. That doesn't happen. It's just, sometimes
just random encounters.
Random, exactly.
It's Final Fantasy 2. Like, you can't walk from town to town without getting into some fights.
Yeah. And more often than not, we just drive through it if it's small arm fire. But, so don't fetishize. We don't pulling over and like unload it, whatever. The point is that
who is coming to the defense of these policemen? I had a few guesses, but
it's typically, this is what's puzzling. It's like my conservative family that does it. I don't. And first I was like, what the fuck? Why? How could you possibly? That guy just shot that guy for nothing and then planted a weapon on him and a camera. Like, how do you fuck that up? And they're like, you don't know what it's like, bro. And I'm like, first of all, yes, I do. I did a job very dangerous. And and I don't fetishize that shit. I'm not like, man, I've seen some shit. Like, I don't care. But the point is yeah, I do though. Don't bullshit me. And I never did that. I would never felt the need to be like, let's go shoot that guy. And if we did, let's plant a weapon on him. I think that's a good thing to do. Totally defensible. It's not defensible. If you shoot someone, that's a travesty if they were innocent, period. But anyway, the point is that it's a lot of conservative people. And I think what it is this. It's this, as human tendency, you know this probably just anecdotally, but scientifically we know this. People see black and white, or the people who do see black and white tend to see it as us versus, or us and them. And when they say us and them, they see us versus them. Like if you see someone as an other, there's all sorts of psychological things that start happening. But some of you start seeing them, you can start like turning them into like beasts or animals, like as far as like how you see them morally or values wise,
like cockroaches, rats. Like they'll blatantly do that sometimes with the propaganda.
Yeah, and it because there's a reason for this. We are cognitive misers, which just means that we like to take breaks. Our brain doesn't want to work any harder than it has to, which makes sense because you're burning resources. You're literally burning glucose or whatever, or lactate, whatever fuel your brain is using at that moment. It's using resources to think. So it makes sense that when we're on the savannah chilling out, we're like, I don't know what my next meal is going to be. We don't need to be pondering where our place in the universe, right? So to do that, it takes motive. No. Well, here's the thing. No, do it now because we have plenty of food. We're getting fat as fuck in America.
We could all stand to ponder a little more, is what you're saying.
Yeah, spend some time philosophizing, you fat asses. No, I'm kidding. It doesn't burn that much, but the point is to burn some. So, okay, what does that do then? That's a heuristic because it allows us to be like, oh, that's another, bam, and then it's easy to think about. Well, the problem with easy thinking is that it's shortcuts. Heuristics don't work very well. They work in most cases for simple shit like, oh, hey, that's the thing I did before. It will happen again. That's a heuristic, for example.
I touched that and it's hot. It hurt. I won't do that again.
Yeah, and it's just it's
might not
the nuance
necessarily be hot next time, but let's just save ourselves the burn.
Yeah, and there's instances where this is a really bad idea to do, and that's in philosophy when shit's complicated. Like, why did someone, kill themselves? It's not like, oh, they just didn't know Jesus, no, or whatever, or why is this? Why
But
are
you
these
can't prove
people?
that it's not because they didn't know Jesus.
Yeah, but one of the examples of this black and white thinking, literally black and white, or black and white in this instance, but I'm saying figuratively in some instances, is that you can see someone else and then you instantly classify them and then group them together and attach all the appropriate labels, and it makes it easy on you. But unfortunately, it also makes you wrong a lot. So like with here, or it makes you oversimplify things. So with here, a lot of times they see this. What does the liberals think of this? And they're like, well, liberals are all about human life. So, which is pretty ironic because they say, Christians typically say it's, life has its own sanctity. But
only until it's born.
Yeah, but now they say bleeding heart liberals to try to get around that somehow. But the point is that they say, what does that guy say? He's on my Facebook feed. He's usually a liberal. What was he saying? He's saying that person shouldn't be thought. Well, he's a them. He's another. So I knew I need to be on the other side of that issue. Whatever it is. It could be like, I like fucking broccoli because it makes me healthy. They'd be like, well, eating too much healthy stuff is, that's a bad. Like, they instantly see you as someone else and that they should necessarily be on the other side of each debate as you. And so I think that's part of it too. Like this person that was debating against me has no military or officers in their family. I actually do. I have police officers in my family. I have military in my family. A lot of military, and I'm vehemently against it. So I was it's just weird how many people make assumptions about me. Like they're like, oh, you probably hate the troops. I'm like, I don't know if you know how to click a profile on Facebook, but there are literally still pictures of me in my uniform in my Facebook feed. You can't fuck this up, but they do. Like they just make these assumptions. But I think it's that. I think it's the fact that we do know that people have this us and them, and especially if it benefits you socially, like for example at church or wherever you're at, to think of someone as another, and you also assign variable or aspects to them that you consider as a generalized whole of that group. And so I think that's what's going on. And then they end up fighting for the fact that a man was murdered in cold blood, regardless of his race. I mean, especially because he's black right now, because it's extra prevalent. But anyway, I think that's what's going on. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts.
But anyway, the Catholicism thing, I wonder if that's what's going on with these vaccines. Like, liberals are really push vaccines. I don't know if you've noticed that. But because we like human life.
A lot of the pushback has been from liberals in America. Like a lot of the educated left-wing kind of California anti-vax crowd. It's weird. It's like the one thing liberals, not the one thing, but it's like the liberal blind spot when it comes to logic.
Is that true? Ah, man.
Yeah, look at the stats. A lot of the people who are opposing vaccines are very left-wing. Like right-wing people, we can't afford. It's like a rich person luxury to be into alternative medicine. Like, we can't afford essential oils if you're like a poor conservative Southern hillbilly. You just do what the doctors will subsidize.
Oh, right. Yeah, because you have to go to public schools. Public schools require it.
Yeah. Huh. It's very much a luxury of the rich kind of left-wing liberal crowd in California that's pushing this. Like, I guess no political affiliation is immune to bad thinking.
Well, it runs the risk of being a no true secular
Are they
argument.
Really liberals?
Well, yeah. Well, let me. And Russell talked about this on the last podcast. Was skepticism still needs to be taught to atheists. I get it. It's an example of that. But I think that typically liberals fight on the side of science, and science is very much in on this. Like, yeah, vaccines are an amazing thing.
This one, it's vaccines and GMOs. Those are the two things that liberals just lose their shit about. That's got no scientific basis.
The fuck, man.
Yeah,
that is weird. Okay, so I thought it was these because I've only seen news stories and stuff. I haven't studied it as a demographic, but I see these news stories of these little communities in Kansas or there was some in California that were doing the lollipop pass around for the
the people's parties and chicken pox parties.
Yeah, the pox parties. And this lady was like, well, God doesn't need no fancy shots to do this, and and then I saw a couple other ones and they were religious, but I don't know what the stats are, so. That does make sense that it would be a liberal issue, though, now that you're talking about funding.
Yeah, it's weirdly bipartisan. It's just dumb people on both sides of the aisle are in favor of anti-vaccination.
That's weird, dude. Fuck. Man, we need to clean up our shit.
Yeah. So my other little news story, I had two. The second one is about the Boy Scouts are letting homosexual leaders in.
See, I knew that this nation was just going to plummet into the toilet the second you start letting gay people.
Yeah, it's been a month, and I was like, wait for it, and it finally happened.
Ugh.
So
Let
they
'em-
a while ago they let
See-
gay Boy Scouts in, but now they're letting gay leaders in, which is a big deal because all gays are pedophiles, as the science shows.
Oh, that's weird because I was just about to say, like, well, that's not such a progressive idea considering they let in pedophiles this whole time. Pedophilia is a big problem in Boy Scouts. Google that shit. You know, it's scary, but it's only because that's where you can migrate if you're a sick fuck and you want to be alone with
Right.
little boys.
Places
Then
for access.
there you go. Yeah, exactly.
Now,
So-
they still don't let atheists in, so don't like rush to join them now because you're still not allowed, you and your kids, Jeremiah.
Good.
But the gays are now. And guess who's losing his shit about it? Have you ever heard of Theodore Shubat?
That sounds a little familiar.
Probably because
I
he's
don't-
got a name that sounds like he works at Hogwarts, but he's actually Theodore Shubat. He's a regular talking head. He goes with these like GOP lawmakers and like he's in documentaries and columns and interviews on Fox and all this stuff. Like he's one of those people that he's like the resident expert on things that they bring in.
Yeah.
Yeah, just on things. So he's a religious leader, obviously. That gives him credibility for the Fox crowd. Here's his quote about this. Brace yourself. Theodore Shubat, I believe that the reason why the homosexuals want to enter the Boy Scouts is because they want to recruit young boys and transform the Scouts into a Nazi-like gay youth club, young brainwashed children who can be used as soldiers against Christianity.
What the fuck?
Yeah, it gets better though. You're like, well, he can't say anything like more blatantly ridiculous than that. Get ready. This is why I say that there is only one solution to the homosexual agenda. Do you want to guess what that is?
Oh God, don't say it. What is it?
That is death.
Oh God.
What does the scripture say? Quote, if a man also lie with mankind as he lieth with a woman, both of them have committed abomination. They shall surely be put to death. Their blood shall be upon them. Leviticus 20:13. Close quotation. That's from Shubat.
Hey, at least he's being honest about what's in the scripture. It's like when that jackass had that Gender Rules of the Bible website. Yeah. He was like, interestingly, I get two kinds of emails. One that say, be more moderate, you piece of shit. Get into today's society. And he goes, and these people need to read the Bible. And the second one that agrees with how I interpret the Bible. Interestingly, that is split up into two as well. Some are fellow Christians, but many are atheists who say, yes, you are interpreting correctly. Continue doing that.
Stop using the Bible as a moral code. It's bullcrap.
I don't understand those group. And I'm like, I do, because we fucking read the Bible. That's like in that, if you go to How to Talk to an Atheist, have you seen this on WikiHow or eHow or whatever? There's like little
don't let them read.
It's like, don't.
Bible.
Don't. Yeah, it's like, don't quote the Bible. Most of them know it better than you do. And I was like, oh, shit, drop the mic. eHow.
Okay, were you ever in Boy Scouts?
No.
I was an Eagle Scout, and this must have been like before they changed it, because I do not remember being trained in a Nazi-like gay youth club where they taught us to be soldiers against Christianity. In fact, my local church group like sponsored the Scouts. Like the Mormons and the Scouts were in bed together for as long as I can remember. But I guess now they're all anti-Christian soldiers.
Phrasing. But that wasn't a badge. I thought the swastika was one of their badges you can get for being an asshole to Jews.
Yeah, actually, I got my Jews, yeah, anti-Judaism badge, but now it's anti-Christian,
which is weird because it's Judeo-Christian organization, being usually supporting them. But whatever.
I find that whenever people say Judeo-Christian, they just mean Christians and they're trying to sound inclusive. Like I don't remember anyone being like, right, my fellow Jews and Christian friends, and there's like no Jews in the room.
Yeah. Plus, I mean, fundamentally, it's pretty shitty because they're like, hey, you know what's cool? And they're like, what? And they're like, we improved your religion. And they're like, oh, well, we don't agree that Jesus was a prophet, and we are the ones who wrote and interpret the Bible. We have to memorize the entire Torah by the time we're 13, word for word.
Shh, do you want another Inquisition? Do you want another Inquisition?
Oh, this is a good point. Sorry.
Judeo-Christian.
Yeah, okay.
No, they've been doing nothing but persecuting Jews since the time of the apostles, but it's been a little back and forth. Let's just call it a Judeo-Christian now. We're all on the same team. At least we're not Muslim.
Even Luke and Paul were like, fuck you to each other because one was a Gentile or one was for the Gentile.
Yeah, there's some great anti-Judaism stuff in the Pauline epistles. Like the Jews, those who crucified our Lord. Yeah, that'll end well, Paul. Let's go ahead and pin that on them.
Nice. Yeah.
That won't fuel any Holocaust. So those are my stories. Gay Boy Scout leaders are now training anti-Christian gay Nazi youth clubs, and freaking Catholic Church is still trying to kill babies in Africa.
Let me just tell you this. Here's my not a news item, but here's my talking point. First of all, I went to the most incredible. I should have brought this up in the beginning. I went to the most incredible. I had the best time last night.
I've got so much anticipation from this.
Dude, I went to a straight up wrestling match, like wrestling, like professional wrestling, like amateur in like a warehouse that's no bigger than like, it's probably as big as my house if you just took out of the walls. So like, I don't know, 1,300 square feet, however many.
So like Fight Club basement.
3,000. Yeah. With like a ring in the middle. Everything else is plywood. Okay. And their doors were like, those were like, they had curtains for doors. And like the whole place was,
it's one of those like ghetto. Only in Mississippi moments.
Yep. Yeah. It was in Okalina, Mississippi. And dude, I had the best time. I expected to see a spectacle and I was not disappointed. Actually, it was kind of talented. Like I expected a bunch of old people falling over themselves and then other old people shouting at the ring and throwing their fake teeth at it, right? That's what I expect. That's what you get in Mississippi, especially near the Delta. This was actually kind of awesome. People were doing flips off of ring stuff, and like there's no seating because we got quote unquote ringside seating because I'm in MMA, this MMA gym, and the MMA gym goes and watches these guys quite a bit because it's right next door. Like they'll train some MMA and then go. And I went with them this time because they keep trying to get me. They're like, "You coming to wrestling Saturday?" And finally, I was like, fuck it, yeah, I'll come and bring the kids. And so I did. And they were like, we get ringside VIP seating. And I was like, whoa, shit, really? And they're like, yeah, we're kind of a big deal. Because the wrestlers fetishize MMA. Because, like, the MMA guy, there's a champ that's in the gym. He came in with his belt. And they were like, oh, man, it's awesome. Because I'm sure it's like what they would be doing if they were like real martial artists. But whatever. The point is that this ringside seating, it's all ringside seating. There's two, you can only fit 2 chairs between the ring and the wall. And so, like, we're right here, and the wrestlers are like, whenever they hit the thing that come out, you're just like, oh, just when they hit the little, what are they called, ropes? Like to bounce off it, like they do, they throw them at each other.
Yeah,
dude, it was hilarious. Punch Out, yeah, it was hilarious. Oh my god, I had a great time. We're like screaming, like, because they're right next to you, and I'm like, you're blind, ref, turn around, because they're doing the obvious, like cheating while the ref's not looking, and I had a great time. I plan to go back. That's how much fun I had. Yeah, it was like $10. Oh, no, you have to, dude, David. If
Let me ask you.
Come down, we're going.
Your cousins, do you have any that you find attractive right now?
All of them, to be honest.
Oh my god, we're too late.
I know, and I've been thinking about this. I'm just gonna start pulling my teeth out. I don't need them. And look, David, I'm not wearing shoes. Look,
teeth are pretentious liberal bullshit.
Yeah, see, I've always been saying that. No, it was amazing, dude. Seriously, it was a spectacle. It was amazing. The point is this, though. What's the point of the podcast?
What is the point of it?
Besides just talking about these guys,
plugging wrestling.
It was hilarious. Okay, I can't talk good enough. The point is this: there were no women on the card, but right afterwards we go and watch the UFC fight, and the top card is women: Ronda Rousey and
why do we still have Ronda Rousey matches? Isn't that just like a foregone conclusion at this point?
Yeah, it's incredible.
It's like a matter of how long until she wins now. That's what the bets are on.
Well, something happened though. This is why I want to talk about this. Something happened that like kind of changed the game. People thought she was a one-trick pony. She was a judo Olympian, right? There's this female who's now a icon for a lot of young girls, and like there's people, they were crying when she came on stage. So it was crazy, like, because I think she represents something
besides Miley Cyrus kind of version of femininity.
Yeah. And a lot of there's been different commentators who've talked about this, but like even like Sports Illustrated called her the greatest athlete of all time, the most dominant athlete of all time, because she had I won't spoil anything, but she had a very convincing fight, just as everyone knew. They literally said the opponent will have to break her leg, or will have to break Ronda's leg on the way in to have any chance, and even then she'll probably lose. So like she probably
That's
won.
what I'm saying. Like, do we just not have anyone that can fight her anymore? I've never seen a fight where it's like, she's probably going to lose this one.
Well, there's this girl called the Cyborg who got busted so many times for taking
is she
steroids.
A cyborg?
No, she looks bigger than any guy I've ever seen, and her face is unfortunately started to take on like
robot-like characteristics.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. But you can look at her name's Cristiano Cyborg something. Just look up fighter MMA. But she's in a different thing. It doesn't matter. The point is this though. That Ronda, okay, so something happened where she showed last night that she can do all aspects of MMA. Before, she was just throwing people down because she was a judo Olympian, right? Of course she was. You throw people down, punch them, and they die, basically. They give up. And but this time she beat him with a different aspect of MMA. And so she's well-rounded. And everybody started like treating her like they do the greatest of all time males. It was the first time you've ever seen it. Like, she sat down and people were like, it's just honor to be near you. They were saying all these things that they always reserved previously for the male greatest fighters. And now they're saying she's the greatest fighter to ever come to the UFC. And they were making all these correlations. They were saying she's like when Mike Tyson came in and just started knocking out the greatest fighters of all time. When Roy Jones Jr. came in, started just destroying everyone. Floyd Mayweather, who's a fucking asshole piece of shit, by the way, beats up women. But just speaking about his athleticism, he's the greatest boxer possibly of all time. Like, you talk about these people, and there's this reverie, right? And finally, they're giving that to this to a female for the first time I've ever seen. And so, like, it was incredible. Like, now all these outlets, I was reading a couple. Raw story, a couple places that were talking about her, that they're like, I don't watch the UFC. And some people are like, I don't even agree with it. I don't think people should be punching each other in a cage, and I'm like, okay, you don't understand martial arts. After we're done fighting, we shake hands. I've never felt closer than whenever I beat the fuck out of someone and they beat the fuck out of me. Like, it's awesome. But anyway, the point is I understand. Sorry, if you've never done it.
Your wife just beating the fuck out of each other.
So okay, I felt closer when I'm married, but I mean, and yeah, when I never punch a girl, I'm just saying, like, there's a kinship. Would you
punch Ronda Rousey?
No, well, I don't know. You would beat the fuck out of me. Yeah, I mean,
not for chivalry reasons, but just don't do it. She would beat the shit out of you.
That's the thing, and like, people are now saying like I wouldn't, like, there are pro male athletes that got on Twitter. I mean, pro like the heavyweight champion. No, he wasn't a champion. One of the heavyweight contenders was like, I would not step in the ring with Ronda Rousey. And so, like, there's this moment where, like, the one thing that I think that men lord over women is physical prowess. Like, we're born with this kind of step up. It's like us starting on third base and women starting on the front, and then we brag about making it to the home plate. And I'm like, well, she hit a home run. The rest of us did, yeah, in a lot of things. But I just mean in this in particular, it's amazing to see someone who's rounded to the home. They hit a home run, rounded to the home plate before the third baseman got there. It's incredible. Like, it was to hear people talk about it, it was just, it's insane. And so I just see it as like the one place that men thought they could always go is like, if your woman won't hush, you hit her. She's penetrated that barrier, like, now, and she's giving these women these hopes that, like, if a dude's beating the shit out of you, if you train, and I'm not saying this is the answer. I'm just saying that to have that hope that, like, this girl could beat the fuck out of anyone. No man is going to lay a hand on her. I just thought it was incredible. It was incredible to see people do that.
Yeah, they're treating, they're treating her like how the media used to treat Lance Armstrong before we knew he was like a juicer.
Yeah.
Before we found out he was cheating. Like, remember back when he was like just this legend and everyone was just like, wow, Lance Armstrong, he's unstoppable. Yeah. Like, unstoppable was the adjective they'd use. And like, I'm seeing that pop up around Ronda now.
Yeah. People have stopped saying she's the greatest women's MMA of all time. She's the greatest MMA of all time. Like, she got even Sports Illustrated, like I said, Sports Illustrated, who rarely even covers UFC, or they used to not. They put her on the front and said most dominant athlete of all time of any sport ever of any nation. That's insane. Like, look at Usain Bolt. I mean, look at Michael Johnson back in the 90s. He was pretty incredible for the sprint. Look at like Prefontaine for the long distance run, the 3-mile run. Look at look at now Mebs Fletzky runners. Look at like Floyd Mayweather. Like, he dominated Manny Pacquiao in fighting and boxing, and both of them were undefeated. And it's just, but she got that title above and beyond, like, men in a combat sport. Like, that has to mean something to people who aren't fans of MMA like I am.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe not, but no, I know it does, because she made it in Forbes magazine. She's made it everywhere now, and I feel like it's the one realm that used to be, like, there's no thing for women to do, like, in sports, hardly, for when they grow up, right? You quit volleyball because there's no pro volleyball, bad example, football or basketball, because there's no successful NBA program, right? Fighting, like, if women like hitting pads with each other and doing jiu-jitsu, then you know what I mean? Like, there's no option for them, so they have to get out. She's the one person who was like, no, fuck it. She went to the Olympics, and then she's like, I'm gonna make my own division, and then she did. So all I'm saying is that it's the one thing that women had never gotten into before, that men, it was a man-only zone. Fighting was a man-only zone. Boxing, everything. Like, there were girls, there were leagues with women in them. but it didn't. No one took it seriously. She's now the greatest selling athlete or UFC fighter of all time. That's crazy. Anyway, she beat all these other superstars of males. I mean, to watch everyone react to it, even Dana White, who owns the UFC, was like, I did not expect this. I never expected this. She's the greatest of all time, and this is insane how much there were more celebrities tweeting about her than any other fighter ever and in history. So like it's crazy. Like she's a cultural phenomenon. So I bring her up here because I'm a fan. Yeah, sure. But she's penetrated that MMA barrier. I've always been a fan of her, and my wife has too, for like, what she brings to the table for women. But that's purely in a combat sport thing, so I never brought it up. But now it's penetrated so many more barriers. I mean, Chris Pratt talked about it on his Twitter. Who else was popping up there? I'm trying to remember, but they pop it up whenever people were tweeting about it. It was trending like that she's the greatest athlete of all time, not women's athlete. So I just feel like it's a big deal. Like this
Milestone.
is a big deal. Yeah, people were kept saying like Joe Rogan, who's one of the he talks. He's the guy who promotes the fight. He's like the biggest promoter. Well, he calls the fight. He commentates. He kept saying like, I just feel like every time I see her, I'm seeing history in the making. This is a woman who's changing everything, not just for MMA, but for everything. And I think she has. I don't know. I think it's incredible. What do you think about that, being not an MMA guy?
Yeah, I see the cultural importance of having that gender barrier snapped. Like if there was ever a glass ceiling, it's been the sports world. So seeing her become like an icon, I can't think of any like tennis players. I can name female tennis players who are famous, but outside of that sport, I could never name a professional female athlete until Ronda Rousey. So, it's a good sign. It's also showing that like it's not just Taylor Swift that can be like a famous female, like you can be tough. There's different avenues now instead of just pretty and talented musically for women.
Yeah.
It did remind me, I saw today an episode of House where this college athlete, he was like being scouted for the pros. He wanted to go pro. He was a football player, and he ended up missing the scouting games because he was in the hospital, and they cured him, but he'd already missed like his chance to go pro. And he was just like, what am I going to do now? Like, you saved my life, but my life's over. What kind of life am I going to lead now that I can't be a pro football player? And then House was like, did you study really hard in school? And the guy like gave him a dirty look. And he's like, well, in that case, probably a similar life to everyone else in your graduating class, minus the student loans. It's like, oh yeah, it kind of puts in perspective. Like, you're not going to be a billionaire, but no student loans.
Yeah, that's a good point. One other thing I forgot about this that's so incredible about this icon, this female who, yes, she's an MMA fighter, but let's talk about her as something different. Is she is very vocal about being a body like image person, like she said, advocate. She never likes to call herself that. She's like, no, I'm not an advocate. I'm not a role model. I'm just trying to take what little thing I can to hopefully change things. But she's very muscular, and people are like, she has a man body, and so she likes to change that shit too. So she actually made it into the swimsuit edition of Sports Illustrated for a specific reason. She's like, I'm not big on like showing off my body or anything, but I wanted to show that like women don't have to be they don't have to atrophy themselves muscles wise and starve themselves to be on these things. She made it on like, I guess swimsuit edition, or I don't guess it's a big deal, right? I guess for Sports Illustrated folks. I don't follow Sports Illustrated because I don't follow sports, but except combat sports.
But it's illustrated. It's easier. You just look at the pictures.
Look at those pictures. I can understand that. But that and wrestling.
Isn't she into cosplay too? Am I thinking of somebody else?
Pokemon, she's beaten every single one of them. Like she didn't and gotten all the things.
Well, that's like essentially MMA, but like video games.
Yeah, that's true. Just train, get better.
To gyms, you like beat up everyone in the gym. You go to a better one.
Yeah, I guess
you
you do.
Being the world champion.
So we should have seen it coming, but yeah,
of course
she played WoW when it was popular, and she leveled a bunch of people up. But yeah, she's a nerd. Which that makes sense on our other podcast. But like here, I'm just excited that she's changing the game of like what beauty has to be. It doesn't have to be one single faceted aspect. Now it can be multifaceted. Sure, you can be thin if you want to, or you can also have some muscles on you if you want to, or you can just be like whenever she did the episode
just do whatever's healthy.
Yeah, just do whatever.
Just be healthy. Like whatever's healthy.
Be whatever you want to be. Yeah, and the cultural expectation of beauty will change based on what you kind of act towards, right? I mean, there's certain genetic things that won't change, you know, like
symmetry.
If you have, exactly, I was about to say, if you have asymmetry, like your asymmetrical eyes, like if I was born with this eye below this one, people see it as a little weird, and we can't get around that kind of thing. I mean, you can. It just takes a lot of
it's going to be very an instinctive reaction.
Yeah, exactly. And so there's that kind of thing. And or unfortunately, like body fat is one of those, like past a certain level. There's a cultural there's
some wiggle room, right? Like the Rubenesque kind of fashion of like what we would consider overweight women used to be very fashionable as beauty, and then now we have like almost the opposite direction. Like I guess in the 90s it kind of peaked the other way with like the Ally McBeal kind of skeletal look.
Yeah,
and it's kind of swinging back and forth in between that.
Yeah, you've got wiggle room, but there's like a layer of where you lose, like, because men do attempt or do prefer on whenever they pick images like silhouettes, they prefer this a little more of an hourglass figure.
Yeah.
So it's weird that the skinny thing was coming by. I have my own theory about that. I actually don't think that I've personally never met a male who prefers that body type, and that's been shown in studies actually that women always did. So whenever you get a list of like these, you show these silhouettes, like a super skinny, pencil thin, like anorexic woman, and then it slowly moves up body until you get to like a very curvy, and then it gets past curvy to like, you know, kind of a pear shaped or round shape, like morbidly obese, and women regularly and reliably across cultures and everything, they always think that guys like it here a little bit less. They put themselves here and they say they like to be here, and men like it a little further. Men actually say here, we like here, you're putting yourself here, it's a little further. So there's a lot of evidence that this is unfortunately something that's like cultural through like maybe magazines or whatever it is, but it's a misfire. Like it's not actually what most males like.
And it's not a new problem. Like whale-borne corsets were like a big part of the whaling industry back in the 18 and 1700s. So
yeah.
But anyway, why is this God theory related? Because religions tend to be super patriarchal and misogynistic, and it sucks that we have to like bring this into an atheist discussion. But there you have it, like treating women like equals.
Well, and secular values, I highly value feminism. Okay, you know, feminism is one of those hot button words, but all I'm saying is if you just looked at a diary entry of feminism, I definitely call myself all those things. However, I know that I've been yelled at plenty of times by women who call themselves feminists because of the Roger. I don't even remember his name now. Roger. Remember the guy who shot up like all those guys and girls? And he had all those misogynistic videos. Anyway, I've been yelled at a bunch of times for opinions I've made, and I don't know. I consider myself a feminist, but whatever. I guess I'm not. I shouldn't call myself a feminist or an ally, is what I've been told multiple times. So I guess I won't. But anyway, the point is I highly value gender equality inside of secularism. Right. So I think it fits, and it's a big moment, at least, especially for me being a fan of combat sports. But I think for women in general, she knocked out a girl in a way and in a speed that's never been done before. Like, and that's incredible. Like, that's the stuff that, like, she's dangerous. Like, she's the most dangerous one of the most dangerous unarmed people in the world, and definitely the most dangerous unarmed female in the world, and definitely could beat the fuck out of anyone. Not just, you know, submit them or after 5 rounds you get decided. It's just a big, I don't know. It's cool. It's the one area that, like, you know, men used to be like, well, if all things go down, I'm gonna hit her with something big and she can't do shit back. Well, now women can, like, you know, or at least that's a symbol of hope. It's the Batman for Arkham, right? Like, or for not Arkham, for Gotham. Anyway.
All right. Well, we're running up on time. Any closing thoughts on this couple weeks of news and godliness?
No, man. I mean, other than the fact that I can't wait for those ideals to permeate our culture a little faster. You know, the women don't have to be stick thin, because I don't like that. I think most men don't. Actually, most men don't either. I'm ready for that to change. Like, let women be healthy, dude, or be athletes. Like, what the fuck? What's wrong with being athletic?
Just cardio. It'll help you survive the zombies.
Cardio, yeah. What about you? Closing thoughts?
Yeah, I guess probably just maybe stop killing babies in Africa would be my last bit of advice for the Catholic Church. So, you know, polio. Let's not have it be a thing anymore.
Yeah, please.
Who boycotts polio vaccines? Okay, I'm going to get worked up. Yeah, those are my closing thoughts. And to all you gay scout leaders out there, keep on training the soldiers. We're going to need them for the uprising.
Oh, and by the way, last thing, we had some interactions on the God Theory Twitter. So thank you for those, for everyone who
By the way, the
tweet it at us.
Facebook group should now be able to be found if people are looking for it. I have updated the settings.
Yeah, so there's a God Theory Facebook podcast, Facebook group. We try to do the same thing with our other podcast, and it did very well. Like, we have a great community there. Everyone's awesome. And then we were doing the same thing here because we were like, what a great opportunity to do that again. Well, we made it because we didn't want people to be outed on their own, their own like Facebook feeds. And so we actually made it a little too hard to find.
Yeah, a little
you can't even join it. I was getting messages of people like, I can't find the group. I was like, oh, just do this. And then I wouldn't hear anything back. And then
so
finally
now,
someone wrote back.
If you join it, people can't read what is being said without being in the group, but they can see that you're a member of the group. That was the next level down of secrecy. So if your mom is like stalking your Facebook and she'll see that you're part of a God Theory podcast group, she might think it's a Christian study group, or she might think it's an atheist thing. I don't know, but people can see you're in the group now, but they can't see what's being said.
Yeah, but what's funny is we've gotten a lot of like interactions, like both on Twitter, YouTube, Google Plus. People keep messaging me and they're religious, and they're like, "Hey, cool, I want to check out your podcast." I'm like, I mean, you do, but
emphasis on the theory. It's it's not the God Facts podcast.
Yeah. Anyway, we got some interactions in YouTube as well. Someone was saying that we have well-reasoned points, and they thoroughly enjoyed it, which I thought was good. So thanks for that. We're getting more and more views. So, hey, obviously we're doing something okay. I'm enjoying myself.
Yes, good times.
Cool. Well, until next week then, I guess we'll let you guys go. Thanks for tuning in. Hopefully you find some of this pretty cool. Let us know what you think about, join the Facebook page, tweet at us, whatever. Let us know what you think about I'm curious about the Ronda Rousey thing, about the Catholicism thing. Like, just... Let's build a community, man. Like, this isn't just talking heads.
Let's just talk. Let's just be friends.
Let's just eat munchy stuff, man. But anyway, all right. Well, we will see you next week, and bye.